It's a dark day on November 17th, 2021. The day the King of Memphis was gunned down outside a cookie shop. The city mourned. The rap world gasped. And in that exact moment, the weight of a legacy fell onto the shoulders of a 24-year-old named Markeyvius Cathey. You know him as Key Glock. And here's the kicker. Most people expected Paper Route Empire to crumble. They thought the label would vanish without its founder. But boy, were they wrong. The work ethic, the hunger, and the fact that this kid had been preparing for this moment his entire life. From a childhood marked by his mother's 15-year prison sentence to becoming a platinum-selling artist with over 11 million monthly listeners on Spotify, Key Glock's story isn't just about survival. It's about turning pain into power. So, how did the kid from South Memphis go from selling mixtapes to stacking serious cash? Let's talk about it. Before the chains, the cars, and the record deals, Key Glock was just a kid named Markeyvius. Born on August 3rd, 1997, in the heart of South Memphis, a neighborhood that's given us legends but also taken plenty. And right from the jump, the odds were stacked against him. When Glock was only 2 years old, his mother was sent to prison on a 15-year sentence. That's 15 birthdays, 15 Christmases, 15 years of growing up without a mom in the house. His dad, in and out of his life, just a ghost in the background. So who raised him? His grandmother and his aunt. A village of strong women who taught him how to survive when nobody else was around. But survival in South Memphis meant something else. At 18 years old, Glock was charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault for his role in a shooting. That's the part of the story the blogs don't always talk about. The near miss. The moment where his life could have gone completely left. But in an interview, Glock himself admitted that when he was in trouble, his aunt, who just so happened to be married to young Dolph's uncle, stepped in. She reached out to Dolph. And that one phone call changed everything. Here's where the story gets wild. When Dolph reached out to Glock, there was no audition. No hoop jumping. No prove yourself to me. According to Glock himself, it happened out of the blue. 1 minute, he was figuring out his next move. The next, the biggest independent rapper in Memphis was telling him to come to the studio. In 2017, Dolph signed his cousin by marriage to Paper Route Empire. And from that moment on, the trajectory of Key Glock's life changed forever. Glock described Dolph as the Phil Jackson to my MJ. Think about that comparison. Not just a boss, a coach, a mentor, someone who saw something in him that he might not have even seen in himself. And here's why that relationship worked. They knew how to work together, so everything flowed naturally. And Glock made it clear from that day. He wasn't going to be a puppet. When asked about his independence, he said, "They always let me do me, let me be me, no matter what it was, music or just everything in life. I go by my own rules." That's the Dolph blueprint. Own your masters, own your independence, and never let anyone tell you how to move. And in 2017, that blueprint started paying off. Glock dropped his debut mixtape, Glock Season, and the industry started paying attention. Now let's talk about the bag. Because Key Glock isn't just a rapper, he's a businessman in the making. In 2018, he linked up with superstar producer Tay Keith, another Memphis native, to drop Russian Cream. And yeah, Russian Cream alone has garnered over 187 million Spotify streams to date. And it went platinum. That's not a fluke, that's a movement. In 2019, he and Dolph dropped Dumb and Dumber. It debuted at number 8 on the Billboard 200 and went on to be streamed tens of millions of times. Then came Yellow Tape in 2020, peaked at number 14 on the Billboard 200 and went gold. But here's where things got crazy. 2021 was Glock's breakout year. He dropped Dumb and Dumber 2 with Dolph, which hit number 8 on the Billboard 200. Then, just months later, he dropped Yellow Tape 2. That album debuted at number 7 on the Billboard 200 and, get this, number 1 on the Independent Albums chart. And his single Proud, which he dropped in the wake of Dolph's death, became his first ever entry on the Billboard Hot 100. Since then, Glock has kept his foot on the gas. In 2025, he dropped Glockavelli, which debuted at number 8 on the Billboard 200, selling 34,000 album equivalent units in its first week. So what's the financial bottom line? Depending on which outlet you trust, Key Glock's net worth is estimated to be between $3 million and $4 million. Some sources peg him at $1.5 million. others at $4 million. But regardless of the exact number, the trend is undeniable. His value is climbing. And he's doing it without a major label for most of his career. Speaking of which, in March 2025, Key Glock made a move that shocked a lot of purists. He signed a partnership deal with Republic Records. But hold on, before you say he sold out, let me explain. Glock didn't leave Paper Route Empire. He's still signed to Dolph's label. This is what's called a hybrid distribution deal. He retains creative control, keeps his independence, and uses Republic's muscle to push his music to a global audience. And guess what? It worked. His first release under that deal, Markeyvius, got more media attention and playlist placements than any of his previous projects. That's the Dolph blueprint in action. Use the system without letting the system use you. And by doing so, Glock set himself up for even bigger paydays in the future. Key Glock isn't the flashiest rapper in the game, but make no mistake, he's got taste. His car collection reportedly includes vehicles from Bentley, Dodge, Chevrolet, and Ferrari. We're talking a Lamborghini Aventador S, a Trackhawk, and a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. The total value of his collection? Well over $3 million. And that's just the cars. While Glock is famously private about his personal life, reports indicate that he moved his family away from South Memphis for safety and career reasons after Dolph's passing. He still keeps strong ties to the city's music scene, but his actual residence is likely in a more upscale, low-key area. In other words, he's not the type to flex on Instagram every day. He's the type to stack his paper, invest wisely, and let the work speak for itself. So where does Key Glock go from here? With Markeyvius still buzzing, a major label partnership in full swing, and his net worth climbing toward the $5 million mark, the future looks bright. But more importantly, Glock has something that can't be bought: respect. He's proven that he can carry a label, sell out tours, and keep the spirit of Paper Route Empire alive. But here's the question that keeps the hip-hop world guessing. Will Glock ever step out of Dolph's shadow? Or will he continue to honor his legacy while building his own? So, who should I break down next? Drop their name in the comments. And if you want to understand how your favorite artists really build wealth, subscribe to Wealth Wonders. We're building financial freedom one video at a time. Long live young Dolph.